So here we are, right in front of Palace Theatre. We're going to be talking about this fellow here a little bit in the area, as well as Leicester Square, this area we're in, now known as Theatreland of London. So this is where all the big West End theatres are. The Palace Theatre being one of them, which was built in 1891. They've been playing lots of different long-running musicals here, little operettas and things like that. They've only started playing Harry Potter since 2016. So for coming up on about 9 years, they've been running this play here. And what is this play? Well, this is, in a way, the sequel to the Harry Potter series. It was co-written by the author, by J.K. Rowling, and various other figures as a script, and then eventually put to the stage. And it follows the child of Harry Potter, who is considered the cursed child, because at the end of the last film, he states that he's worried that he's going to be put in the House of Slytherin, just like his father was always put in Slytherin before him. And Harry Potter tells him and consoles him, don't worry, there's plenty of great wizards and witches in the House of Slytherin. I'm sure you can guess what happens to the child. Of course, he gets put in Slytherin and has to deal with his father's legacy while he's in the enemy house, I suppose you could call it. So it's a huge production. It's very popular. It's very long show. So if you come to see it, you might want to break it up into 2 days. You can either see the whole thing, which takes about 4 hours, and you get an hour's intermission in between, or you can break it up. So you can come for an afternoon play or session, and then come for an evening play later on. You might even we'll get past the place where you could potentially get cheap tickets to get in here and see it if you got a bit of a flexible itinerary. Okay, so right here we've got a little reference to Harry Potter. We've got here a little reference to Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, the 6th film, where in the beginning of the film you see the Death Eaters beginning to attack the Muggle world. And they fly past the former office of the Mayor of London, what is also known as City Hall, or some people call it the Crash Helmet. And then they go over across the Thames up to Trafalgar Square, and then fly up Charing Cross Road before they finally get inside this little alleyway. And very soon there, special effects will show you that, boom, you're blasted into Diagon Alley. So according to the films, this is one of the secret entrances to Diagon Alley. Something the residents here have reveled in, I've heard, and occasionally dress themselves up as witches or wizards, showing up and basking in the glory of the few tourists that know that this is a sight to see for die-hard Harry Potter fans. So, not Harry Potter related, but we are checking out other things here in Leicester Square. There's a nice memorial there to Agatha Christie, who wrote The Mousetrap. And that is the longest running continuous play around here in the West End. So it's the play that's been running continuously since the early 20th century, I think. Was it early 1900s, coming up to a little bit more than 100 years. We've had The Mousetrap going on here. It's not too far from here, actually. It's just a little bit further up the road that way. So now we're coming down to a few areas that are again relevant to Harry Potter. I suppose on the way there, we just stopped by this symbol for a known restaurant and cocktail chain called The Alchemist. But they, of course, use this alchemical symbol as their logo. And that is relevant to Harry Potter, because this is actually the symbol for the Philosopher's Stone. And in the first Harry Potter book and film, the whole action revolves around the Philosopher's Stone, the prima materia, the original material and element that alchemists have been seeking for thousands of years, going all the way back to the Egyptians who called it chem back in the day. So you can see, of course, where the author got some inspiration from when it came to the Philosopher's Stone, because it has been an object of both magic and science to achieve for almost as far back as human history remembers. It is an interesting symbol. We're just discussing here the various parts of the symbol, the geometric shapes within each other. There's the, if you put on the Christian lens, you've got the trinity of the triangle. You've got the square that can represent the 4 elements, so each side represents an element. I believe the inner circle can represent the mind, whereas the outer circle can represent Ouroboros, the snake of infinity. Infinity that's going on outside the human world. But there's lots of different interpretations to the Philosopher's Stone. Or as it's called in American, apparently, the Sorcerer's Stone, if you want to look at those Harry Potter books on the other side of the pond. So in Harry Potter, almost this symbol shows up. But you can tell the author has copy-pasted it a little bit and made it simpler for the Deathly Hallows. The Deathly Hallows, which is a plot device that's introduced in the later books. The Deathly Hallows almost appear similar to this symbol. But instead of having the outer circle, it's just a triangle with a line going down through the triangle and a circle in the middle, representing the cloak of invisibility. The line is the Elder Wand, and the circle is the Resurrection Stone. So, but you can definitely tell where she got her influence from. Okay, we have now found ourselves in an interesting little alleyway called Goodwin's Court. And as we turn around here, looking at the door, you might see there's another little Harry Potter reference. And why would that be? Well, they actually did some filming here for the second film, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when he winds up in Knockturn Alley. So they use this here for parts of Knockturn Alley. Because come dark, this looks like a proper suspicious shady alley. But it has got these nice Georgian buildings here on either side. It's actually a very old alleyway. Oldest recorded writing mentioning this alleyway goes back to about 1670. But back then it was called Fisher's Alley rather than Goodwin's Court. And you got these nice little Victorian lamps as well, helping to add to the atmosphere, so you can see why the film crew would go for this little spot to do their filming. Now, interestingly enough, it was too narrow for the film crew to work properly here, so they actually had to film sections outside the alleyway and filming into it, and they used mirrors to make the alleyway seem even longer and even more claustrophobic in the film than it is here in reality, even though it is quite long and claustrophobic as it already is. And this is the door where Harry comes out from. So the bit where they film him running out of the shady shop that he winds up in Knockturn Alley. When he comes out and steps into the alleyway, this is the door that they filmed him coming out from, and having his interaction with the locals here until Hagrid saves him. Just a stone's throw away from Goodwin's Court, we are now at Cecil Court. And this road here is what many Harry Potter fans believe may have inspired Diagon Alley. because J.K. Rowling did used to work around here, close to Leicester Square, when she worked for Amnesty International. So it's very likely that she would have walked down this road, may have absorbed the view, although many of the shop owners around here would vehemently disagree. Because I suspect many of them are very tired of the tour groups and tour guides coming here, doing a lot of window shopping, but not actually going in to buy anything. So if you look at a couple of signs here, they will tell you that this street has nothing to do with Harry Potter, and the author was never around here. Believe who you will, because it's all speculation at the end of the day regardless. What is not speculation is the early history of this road here, because this was laid out probably around 1670, what we believe. This lane was laid out here, but the land was actually bought much earlier in the early 1600s by Robert Cecil, by the Earl of Salisbury. And it's still that family, his descendants, that own this little lane here to this day, interestingly enough. And Robert Cecil was famous for being a steward statesman who helped smoothen over the transition from Tudor times to Stuart times, and a very close spy master of James I. Now, they say that he was intricately involved in discovering the gunpowder plot against the king. So he was one of the principal investigators who got to the bottom of who the conspirators were against the king. Now, some historians go as far as to suggest that he may even have puppeteered the gunpowder plot from behind the scenes to try and turn sentiment against Catholics in the country, and engineered a coup and a failed assassination attempt on the king and his Protestant court. But there is not any hard evidence of that. But again, plenty of speculation in that regard. Now, the court here is famous for a few other things as well. You've had the likes of Mozart, was actually lodged with his family here for a very brief time, lived in what was called number 9 in Cecil Court, where they lodged with a barber here. So it's been touched by that prodigy and that master artist as well. And in the early 1900s, just before World War I, it was known as Flicker Alley, because this is where early English film studios set up. So actually the early English film industry started to a large degree here in Cecil Court, because many of the studios set up shop here. But after the World Wars, that they ran out of business and were pretty much replaced by bookshops and antique shops, which still remain here to this day. So that is the current state of affairs here in Cecil Court. Now it's shops going all the way down, with angry shop owners who are tired of tour guides like myself. Since we are dealing with Harry Potter, here's 2 more little Harry Potter facts for you as we come back to Trafalgar Square. We've been here a couple of times already. You got South Africa House here, the South African High Consulate, or the Embassy, I suppose you could call it in plain speech. It's got a different name though, because it's part of the Commonwealth, so they call them High Consulates or houses. And there's a bunch of those houses here around Trafalgar Square. But the outside of this building was actually used as inspiration for Gringotts Bank in the Harry Potter films. The Bank of Goblins, of course. So you can imagine the goblins sitting in there counting their money inside South Africa House. Although the interior of Gringotts Bank was actually down that way, so they filmed the inside of the bank in Australia House instead, down in the cellar of Australia House, which we won't go to because it's too far away from here, but next time perhaps. And you also got Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 premiered here in Trafalgar Square, and is one of the few movies to have gotten a red carpet premiere in Trafalgar Square. It's exceedingly rare when films are allowed to do that. So they have to be a cultural sensation. They have to be big shots to be able to roll out the red carpet. But they did do that. They did do that here in the square about, 14 years ago now. Well, last one here for you Potterheads out there is this location, which was used for the Ministry of Magic on 2 occasions in the Harry Potter films. First in the 5th film, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, where he's escorted to the Ministry of Magic here by Mr. Weasley, who happens to work for that ministry. And of course it's around the area of real-life Muggle ministries, but this is where the telephone box was that brought them down into the secret entrance of the Ministry of Magic, parallel to the land of politicians here that we've got. And there was this shot here as well of this nice little archway. We are right next to the old War Office, is actually where we're based there, and Great Scotland Yard. The old War Office now being a Raffles Hotel, so that's now a luxury hotel. And the old Scotland Yard here, which used to be the headquarters of the Metropolitan Police, has now also turned into a luxury hotel. But right next to them is where the horses of the police have their stables. So they actually still use this area here, New Scotland Yard, at least to occupy their horses. And it also shows up in the 7th film, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, when Harry and gang has to break into the ministry. They actually kidnap 3 employees right here and drag them inside the building here on the right, and use polyjuice to disguise themselves as these employees of the Ministry of Magic. And there's a shot of Ron Weasley on the corner there as he's scoping out the employees as they're coming down towards them. So this is also a good location to get your pictures in if you're here for Harry Potter in particular. That's it.